it's funny, really. I mean, as much as I've bashed Vidme in the past, just I never wanted it to fail. I didn't. I never wanted it to fail. I thought that Vidme might have been a good thing for this world, especially in the face of everything that's been going on YouTube lately, and it's kind of sad, really, just how incredibly they screwed things up. I mean, they can blame the trends with YouTube and Facebook and all that all they want, but they screwed up themselves. They can't blame anyone out themselves for how bad they screwed up in terms of public relations. Sorry, hold on, let me open. Wait, I just fed. Sorry about this. This is the kind of reason why maybe I should start editing these. Anyway, just their public relations skills were not that much better than YouTube's, especially after YouTube added the Creator Insider channel, which was basically just more lip service. And for fuck's sake, the guy mentioned how they're going to take away the ability to, there was something, I can't remember what it was, but basically it was something that YouTube really shouldn't have any control over because it's not their responsibility, it's the uploader's responsibility. And just, why? Why would you take that responsibility away from, oh wait, it was at the tip of my tongue. It was, I really should start editing these, or at least scripting them. It was something to do with, oh yeah, unlisted videos. You can't use them in cards anymore, because that's not something that should be YouTube's responsibility, right? So this creator studio thing is just more lip service. They're not going to listen to us. They're just going to keep making stupid changes at our expense, just like Vidme kept doing. Like, I don't think you people realize this, but Vidme did that very same thing. They kept making stupid changes at our expense. They did the politics quote-unquote stopgap. They changed the layout without asking anyone what they thought about, the idea of even changing the layout. And not even to mention the 50 gigabyte upload storage limit, which I can only imagine was only implemented because the site was failing to begin with. But at that point, it was past the point of no return, and they just implemented it and expected people to accept it. They expected people to just accept it without even trying to garner any iota of sympathy. Like, they didn't try to gain any form of sympathy. And, I think the reason for that is because they knew it wasn't going to work. Because they knew that they were screwing things up. They knew they didn't care about the users. I mean, this was a website that would actively reward blind praise and punish criticism, labeling people like me and Eli the Computer Guy Vidme trolls for having the audacity to question them. That's not how anything works. It's not. That's not how anything works. How can you have a website like that and expect it to succeed? You can't. That was one of the biggest problems with Vidme. And you tried to do lip service after lip service to try to fix the problem. But the problem was the people running Vidme. They couldn't fix it. And that, I think, really is what really led to Vidme's downfall, because they had to try harder than ever to maintain a stable user base, and they screwed that up. they screwed that up. They could have put some level of effort, like hiring someone like Macklar from Zipcast, because that guy was the glue that held Zipcast together. And when Lois turned his back on him, boom, Zipcast was gone. And for good reason. They needed a Macklar. They didn't need someone like, I can't even remember that guy's name anymore, but that guy was a fucking asshole. He really was. He was a fucking asshole. You can't have someone like that represent your website. He was unprofessional. He was an asshole to anyone who dared question them. And it was just terrible. It was a PR nightmare. And you know, a lot of what Vidme did could have been prevented. A lot of Vidme's filings could have been prevented if they listened to Eli. Because Eli was someone who actually knew what the fuck he was talking about. He really was. I mean, sure, Eli and I may have come across as a bit apprehensive. I'm not going to lie, and I personally got a lot of facts wrong. Like, a lot of facts wrong. Like how apparently Vidme wasn't around as long as I thought it was because it used to be Vidme instead of Vidme, and apparently they just bought the domain. Okay, I admit, I got that fact wrong. But there's no excusing a lot of the things they did. There was no excusing making a website with social features and not having it have a block button from the very start. There's no excuse for that. That's just plain incompetence. Any way you look at it. Unless you know your meme, in which case it was an intentional thing, because those guys are complete assholes. Those guys are basically just anonymous, except they make fun of anonymous because, well, you know, that's how anonymous is anyway. And really, they are anonymous. I'm entirely certain. I mean, anonymous, this entire thing is that they are everyone anyway, so you can't say they're not anonymous because everyone's anonymous. But you get the point. It's just so... I saw this coming. I really did. I didn't want this to happen. I didn't. I mean, I will take the ego boost in knowing that I proved everyone wrong. That this proved everyone wrong and that I was right. Sure. But I never wanted this to happen. I wanted Vidme to succeed. I wanted it to become better. But no one would listen to me. No one would trust me. And, you know, I don't blame you for not trusting me. You shouldn't just take people's word at face value, but you have to look at the facts and put them together in your mind. You can't just ignore them. You can't. You can't ignore them. All of these YouTube alternatives are always failing for one reason or another. And, you know, people will tell me, well, this site's not going to fail. Well, it did. And then they're going to tell me, well, this site's not going to fail. Well, it did. Both Zipcast and Vidme failed. People told me, Zipcast is great. Vidme is great. And look what happened. They failed. Now, I'm sure Vidme is going to take a lot longer to go south than most other websites that have failed in some form or another. But it's going to happen at some point. Like, if you look at the Pinky and the Brain's meticulous analysis of history, for example, it's a great lesson. Because it teaches you all the different ways that the great conquerors had failed. And each and every one of them failed, but they all failed in different ways. Like, I don't think anyone really expected, like, Oda Nobunaga to fail, but he got backstabbed. And I don't think anyone saw that coming before they knew about Oda Nobunaga. Because that guy had great ambition, great power, great brain, great head on his shoulders in general, and just, he didn't even screw up. Well, maybe he did by trusting the person who backstabbed him, but, you know, I think he was probably the kind of guy who was like, keep your friends close and enemies closer, I'm sure, I don't know. I didn't read that much into that kind of history, but what I do know about him for certain is that he was a great leader in pretty much every respect of the word. Great. And he still failed. Every great conqueror failed for different reasons. The only real similarity between all of them is that they failed. And when I look at these YouTube alternative websites and see how they all individually fail, I'm seeing the same thing. It's the same thing. They all fail one way or another. They all failed for different reasons, but the key thing is that they all failed. And now that Vidme has also failed, it's clear enough to me that you can't trust YouTube alternatives. You can't put all your eggs into one basket. Just trust these YouTube alternatives. I mean, you could try doing more than one at once, sure. But at the end of the day, they're going to fail in one way or another, and you're going to want to return to YouTube. Except that, you're not going to want to return to YouTube. You're going to move to the next YouTube alternative, and that one's going to fail, and then that one's going to fail, and the next one's going to fail, and the next one's going to fail. It's not worth the effort anymore, people. It's not. It's not worth the effort. History has vindicated me, has proven me right that they have always going to fail. Not Snappy, I know you're going to be in the comments section trying to defend Vidme. Good for you. It's a great website. But you can't ignore the facts. And I subjectively think that you're a blue pill, okay? Subjectively think that you're a blue pill for trying to support these websites when they keep failing. You're ignoring the reality of the situation, and that's my opinion. Because you obviously don't see it that way. Everything is relative. Objectivity is just a concept that people came up with to normalize things, okay? Just to make sense of things. Everything is relative. I've tried to point out things as objective multiple times in the past, and I always get flack for it. So I'm not going to try to pass this off as some sort of objective statement that you're a blue pill. Okay, not Snappy? I'm not. It's my opinion. It's the way I view things, and you obviously don't view things the same way as I do. In your opinion, you're not a blue pill. Okay? Are we clear? Is everything cool between us? Okay? Now, of course, everything's not going to be cool about it, but if you're not a reasonable person. You've shown on multiple occasions. But I don't want you leaving an angry comment in my comment section. I just don't. Please, don't. Try to see reason, okay? At least, if you're not going to agree with me, don't bother trying to change my mind. Because I'm not going to change my mind. This whole situation has proven me right. And of course you're not going to see it that way. Of course you're not. And that's perfectly fine. Don't make that my problem. I already know that your opinion is different than mine. You don't need to hammer it home to me. I know your opinion's different already. That's fine. You're free to have your own opinion. Just don't make it my problem. Why do you gotta keep having to make it my problem? I'm sorry, I'm really stressed lately, and this... trying to deal with people sometimes, it's just... It can be tiring, and just... I've already made my point as it is anyway, so... I really should have ended the video sooner, but just... I don't want that guy commenting on my video saying that he disagrees with me when we've already long past established we disagree with each other. Until next time, don't trust anyone.